Hey Vikings Nation, are you ready for something big? Because what's happening right now with the Minnesota Vikings could completely change the future of this franchise. And trust me, not everyone is talking about it the way they should. There's a storm brewing in Minnesota, and it's not just about the draft. It's about power, strategy, and a front office shakeup that could redefine everything we thought we knew about this team. So buckle up, because today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing and honestly controversial moments in recent Vikings history, and what it means heading into the NFL draft. Let's get one thing straight right away. The narrative that the Minnesota Vikings fired Kwesi Adofo-Mensah? That's not confirmed reality, and as true fans, we need to stay grounded in facts, not speculation. Kwesi has been a key architect behind a team that went 43-25, and that kind of success doesn't just happen by accident. You don't just throw that away overnight without major confirmed reports. And right now, that simply hasn't been officially validated. But here's where things get interesting. Even without that move being confirmed, the discussion around front office decision-making, draft struggles, and trade philosophy is very real, and that's where the heat is coming from. Now let's talk about the real issue fans are debating: the Minnesota Vikings and their performance in the NFL draft. Because despite regular season success, there's been growing frustration with how the team has handled draft capital, especially on day 2, where championships are often built. And Vikings fans, you know this, when you miss on those mid-round picks, it doesn't just hurt depth, it hurts your future. One of the biggest criticisms: trades, specifically trades that didn't maximize value. We've seen moments where the Vikings could have stacked picks, built depth, and walked away stronger. But instead, opportunities may have slipped through their fingers. And in today's NFL, where roster depth is everything, that's a dangerous game to play. Now here's where things take a fascinating turn. Because if there's one name Vikings fans remember when it comes to draft trades, it's Rick Spielman. This guy made a reputation out of trading down, over and over again, squeezing value out of every possible scenario. And whether you loved him or criticized him, one thing is undeniable: he knew how to accumulate picks. Imagine this scenario: the Vikings sitting at pick 18 in the first round. Not a bad spot, right? But also not exactly elite territory in a draft that isn't stacked with top-tier talent. So the question becomes, do you stay put, or do you move back and build something bigger? And this is where strategy becomes everything. Because trading down isn't just about giving up a pick. It's about multiplying opportunities. It's about turning one asset into 2, maybe 3, and giving your roster more chances to hit. And let's be honest, the Vikings need that right now. Depth is a real concern for this team. There are holes that need to be filled, not just with stars, but with solid, reliable contributors across the board. And in a draft class that lacks elite depth at the top, moving down could actually be the smartest move on the board. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where things get really interesting. The Vikings currently hold 9 picks in this draft. 9 chances to shape the future of the franchise, 9 opportunities to either win big or fall behind. And every single one of those picks has value. The 18th overall pick is worth 287 points on the Rich Hill trade chart. That's a powerful asset, one that could bring in serious return if used correctly. But here's the twist. If you trade down smartly, you can turn those 287 points into a combination of picks that might outweigh staying put. For example, moving down just a few spots could net you an extra second or third round pick. And that is where teams build contenders. Now think about this. The Vikings also hold picks at 49, 82, and 97. That's a solid day 2 foundation. But imagine adding more to that mix. Suddenly, you're not just drafting, you're constructing a roster with depth, flexibility, and long-term upside. And that's how smart franchises operate. But here's where it gets risky. Because not all trade charts are created equal. Some teams rely on traditional charts, others use analytics-driven models. And depending on which one you follow, the value of a trade can look completely different. We've seen this before, Vikings fans. Remember the trade with the Lions back in 2022? Moving from 12 to 32. It shocked a lot of people. Some said it was a mistake. Others said it was a genius long-term play. And that's the reality of draft day decisions. You don't always know who won until years later. That's what makes this moment so intense. Because whatever the Vikings decide to do this year, it's not just about 2026. It's about 2027, 2028, maybe even beyond. This is franchise-shaping territory. So let me ask you, Vikings Nation, would you stay at 18 and take the best player available? Or would you trade down, stack picks, and trust the process? I want to hear your take because this is one of those decisions that divides the fan base. And honestly, there's no easy answer. But one thing is certain, the Minnesota Vikings are in a position where every move matters. Every decision carries weight. And the margin for error, it's razor thin. So keep your eyes locked on this team, because draft night could bring surprises we're not even expecting. And if history tells us anything, it's that the Vikings are never boring when it comes to the draft. If you're as hyped and maybe a little nervous as I am, smash that like button right now. Drop your predictions in the comments. Let's get this debate going. And don't forget to subscribe for the latest Minnesota Vikings news and non-stop updates. Share this with your fellow Vikings fans, because this draft could change everything.